Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyom Abda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshimaham Om Om Shanti Shanti Om Namaste. Welcome, Tripura. We have seen in the past classes that Atreya unfolding the teachings of creation in the story. He was telling a story, and we see in the story we had a sage, the son of the big sage, teaching the son of the king, who is the future king, how he creates reality, and the fact that either that universe, that world created by the yogi, by the son of the big sage, that is just an appearance in the mind. And likewise, the world we experience, the physical material universe, is also an image in the mind. And then we have been studying these profound concepts, and that brought us to the verse 73, when the tendencies still remain in abeyance without being fructified. It's called avyakta, the universe unmanifest, or Brahman unmanifest. Difference arises only in chitta. So this is the most important point. That's the reason why I'm bringing back this verse. Difference arises only in the mind, and we take it to be the human mind, where we have the human consciousness, where we perceive things with a so-called intelligent intellect or sophisticated intellect, and then we see difference, we acknowledge difference, seemingly differently from the other animals. So we have this mind, this chitta, this intellect, and the world appears manifest with all its different namarupas only in the mind. There is no difference among the individual, among the minds of the individuals in deep sleep, for example. So when we are in deep sleep, the world does not manifest as plurality, or diversity of name, colors, and forms. So this is very significant. There is no difference among us in deep sleep. So in deep sleep, what we are only prakriti, but unmanifest prakriti. So we don't have the world manifest reflected in our minds. But then it becomes the mind, chitta, when the names, colors, and forms manifest in the awakened state of the human jivas. So this manifestation, it comes in the dream state and the awake state. Both states we experience duality. Otherwise, we are all prakriti, the most fundamental energy in which there are no reflections. There is no manifestation. And then there is a note of the author saying, sleep is characterized by undifferentiation, and so it is the same for every human being, irrespective of one's vasanas. Simultaneous with the awareness of the body, the other two states manifest once we become aware that I am an experiencing entity, I am, and then immediately the world appears. Aham and idam, and they come simultaneously, simultaneous with the awareness that I am and the world is. The other two states manifest. So it says that in the deep sleep there is no aham, and there is no world. Individual enjoyments occur in those two states, but we know that enjoyments do not come without pain. Pleasure and pain lie only in the wakeful and the dream states according as the innate tendencies of the mind which fructified in due time. One's vasanas fructifies as our Parabhada karma again and again. So what is the world I'm experiencing? And then there is that saying that comes from the Sampradaya of Shining World that say that Ramji used to say, I don't know if he still says this, so you don't experience anything, you experience your vasanas. So you experience your mind. Why? Because the world is a superimposition, a reflection in your mind. And your mind is going to reflect according to its tendencies, vasanas. So you're going to see the world through this reflecting medium, which is programmed according to likes and dislikes. Our previous experience of pleasures and pains. When one crop is over, sleep, and then we go through on that one day, and then there is a lot of fructification of our tendencies. Our Parabhada karma is manifest, and then the day is over. And then sleep comes back. And then we experience peace, no pleasure and pain. And there are no distinction among all the crops. The crops, who are the crops? The human beings. There are no distinction. We are all equal. We are prakrit. Or just there is no sense of aham and idam. As the animals, as the recalling of our vasanas, when the mind begins to awaken, the recollection of impression is read with the next crop, sleep is shaking off, and again, the other two states arise, and the experience begins again. So it's clear how the one undifferentiated condition manifests as the universe in all its diversities and resolves back into it periodically again and again. Therefore, the mind, chitta, is Purusha, the individual soul, when the sentient phase is assertive. So chitta is Purusha, the individual soul, the individual mind, when the sentient aspect is dominant, because as we know, we are made out of inert matter, energy, and sentient consciousness, sentient knowledge. When there is a predominance of sentience, because we are experiencing the dream state or the awakened state, and then the aham and the vidam arise. And then same is unmanifest. When what? When the prakrit nature, the insentient nature predominates. So we have our insentient nature and our sentient nature, our Purusha nature, and our avyakta nature, the prakriti nature. When we are without certain proportion of sattva guna operate in our minds, the same mind cannot produce the universe. The universe is produced in our mind, but it has to be in a certain condition, state, proportion among these three energies in the subtle body. That chitta is tripartite according to its functions. It's chitta, this mind is divided into three functions: the ego, the intellect, and the mind. So the ego is the sense, I am, and I am the doer and the enjoyer of my experiences. Yeah? The intellect is the faculty which allows us to learn something from experiences. Yeah? And the mind is the process of thoughts as we go about contacting the objects that reflect in our minds. And then again and again, we have thoughts and feelings, emotions that comes with each thought. So this is the chitta, the mind of the Jivatma. When influenced by the three qualities, it manifests in greater details as, when influenced by the three qualities, it manifests in details as sattva, brightness, clarity. Yeah? This brightness manifests as the five senses: the hearing, sight, touch, and taste, and smell. So when we have the formation of the Jivatma, the manifestation of the Jivatma, as we know, it comes from the causal all the way down to the dense, the gross body. And as we know, Sattva Guna needs to be in great proportion to bring about the subtle body. So the subtle body is contained, is the house, the home for the ego, intellect, and mind, and also is the home of the sense organs. So we perceive the world through the subtle body as well. In subtle body, we have the five senses operating. Needs to be very, very subtle, because we are not doing anything. We are just receiving this reflection, and to receive the reflection of this magic show of this Prakriti of Maya in association with one's individual vasanas. So in order to reflect the world, we need a lot of Sattva Guna, the material which brings about a reflection in this reflecting medium. So it's very smooth and bright, and it produces the five senses. And then once we have more rajas, we're going to produce what? We're going to produce something that is still in, how you say, it's still associated to the subtle body, which are the organs of actions. So the moment that we receive without any need, without need for much Rajoguna. Okay, we are just receiving. We can see in our day-to-day. The moment you are receiving something, you don't do anything. But the moment that you want to do something, to give something to the field, okay, and then you need to go through your organs of action. So it involves a lot more Rajoguna, okay? So Rajoguna is going to influence this reflecting medium to produce the organs of action, okay? And once we have too much tamas going on, what happens? We go into the subtle body, goes into deep sleep, which is a sort of total darkness, and seeing from another angle, seeing the subtle body is going to manifest itself as the physical body, because there is enough tamaguna to grossify the subtle body into a gross physical body, okay? And then it becomes the elements, okay? The five elements that we experience. The supreme intelligence coequities with the universe in this manner, remaining all the time unaffected, a witness of its own creation. So anytime, Marco Silva, if you want to say something, so interact, bring about your insights, feel free, please. So the Supreme Intelligence cooks up the universe in this manner, produces the universe in this manner, but remaining unaffected as a conscious witness knowledge of its own creation. The present creation is the mental product of Brahma, or Hiranyagarbha, which is the macrocosmic mind. So the present creation is the mental product of Brahma, or Hiranyagarbha, appointed creator by the will force of the primal being, which is Brahman, Sri Tripura. So Brahman is blessing Brahma, or Hiranyagarbha, in a way so that this mental raw product, or how you say, raw material of the universe is subtle, the collective mind of God, Brahma, mental product of Brahma. This is creation that comes from the subtle, appointed, is the creator by will force. So where is this will force coming from? It comes from the only source, which is Brahman, Sri Tripura, the primal, the most primordial, the absolute being, the absolute consciousness. The cognition of Aham, you and I, is the essence of any creation. So again, we have this appointment saying that the cognition, I and the world, or I and you, I say I say you, if you are around, or if I say I and I say it, the manifest world. So the moment that the Aham comes, Idam comes. The Idam can say you or it. The cognition between Aham and the world happening, reflecting the mind of Aham, is the essence of any and all creations. Everything, what is the significance here? The world is just a cognitive phenomenon that occurs in the mind. The mind is going to self-reflect its own sense of the ego, I am, and then it's going to immediately experience Idam, and the world is, you are as well, and other things are. So this is one phenomenon, and it says here that is the essence of all kinds of creations. Without this human mind, the Aham, there is no creation, in other words. Such cognition is the manifestation of transcendental consciousness. Such condition is the manifestation of transcendental consciousness through the power of Maya. There cannot be any difference. Just as there is no difference in space bounded by a pot or not bounded by the pot. Again, we have this very subtle teaching saying that this intellect, this mind, this chitta in which the world is reflected, and then this I is aware of itself. That's why it is self-aware. I am, and I know that I am, and I am, and I know what is being reflected upon my mind. I see these things. I thought that they were out there, but now I'm a Vedantin, and I understood that it's just being reflected in my own mind, which is not apart from non-dual consciousness, my true fundamental free nature. So again, we have this pointer that the cognition, this cognitive intellectual power, I, Aham, and Idam, is the essence of all creations. What it means, without Aham, Idam is not possible. Okay? You need to be self-conscious so that you can produce the raw material. By self-conscious is I am and I know that I am, but I don't know exactly what I am. Yeah, I am, I know that I am, and I see the world here, okay? So without this phenomenon, the aham, and this aham is going to keep producing, it's going to keep producing one's vasanas, or reflecting one's likes and dislikes, desires and fears, and reflecting in its own subtle body, in its own mind, this universe. So that's why a lot of people nowadays keep saying that maybe this is just an illusion. It is like, what is the name? They say it's not a projection, it's, I forgot the expression they use. A lot of people in the internet talks about these things nowadays. Simulation. And so who is simulating this world? Okay, who is simulating? The world is being appearing in my mind, appearing in Mark's mind, in everyone's minds. There is a common, I would say, common sense about a tree being a tree and this and that, you know, but then there is, everybody is going to superimpose different values to this tree compared to that tree, and this fruit and that, and this creature and that. So everything is happening in the mind. And this cognition, aham, is going to immediately produce the reflection of idam, and without which creation, any kind of creation is not possible. When we know that, because in the dream state, we know that we have this experience of I and the world, the dream world, and we have no difficulty to understand that the world is just being reflected in my own mind, isn't it? We have Maya working through eyes with Nidra Shakti to produce this reflection, okay? But then in the awake state, we have Maya working through eyes in the awake state, using its power, the Maya Shakti, to produce the reflection we call the world. The same principle. And for that, we need the I, the aham, in the awakened state, so that we can work out our vasanas, likes and dislikes, and then those impressions, they appear in the dream state when we try to sleep, and then there are other reflections there, which are the impressions obtained by the aham in interaction with idam. But in fact, what happens, and we can verify that in the deep sleep, and there are no difference in transcendental consciousness. Where we are is undifferentiated consciousness. And we have a clue of this as well, as we analyze the experience of deep sleep, in which we are all equal. So there are no names, colors, and form. There are no differentiation. We are all Prakritis presented here. No? There are no difference in transcendental consciousness. Likewise, there are no difference in the experience or in the state of the aham, which does not have the aham in that state of deep sleep, which is indifferentiated and equal to all. So this transcendental consciousness has no differentiation, just as there is no difference in the space. And then we have the analogy of the space we see in the clay pot, and outside of the clay pot, we have the difference between the human consciousness reflecting my mind and the human consciousness or limitless consciousness reflecting Mark's mind. Understand? So appear that there are varieties in difference in consciousness, but there isn't. The same way there is no difference in consciousness in the space we see in the clay pot and the space outside of the clay pot. So consciousness is never bound by any body-mind construct, okay? And the minds, they are somewhat bound to the body-mind construct because they identify themselves as the body-mind, and then they are caught in samsara. The diversities in creation are solely due to qualifications limiting the consciousness. These qualifications, the physical body, for example, the limitation of age, are the mental imaginary of the creator, consistent with the individual's past merits. When the creative force, will force, wears away, there is pralaya, the dissolution of the universe. And then we go back to pure, indifferentiated prakriti, complete undifferentiation. You know? So what happens with all the difference in the vasanas of all jiva-atmas? So they shrink back, they unfold back into the macrocosmic causal body of the universe, in which there are no difference. Everything is there as potential, but nothing is manifest. It's the unmanifest. Okay? It's important for us to understand when we say that the universe appears manifest and then it rolls back into the unmanifest. The unmanifest is the causal body. The macrocosm causal body is pralayam. The diversities in creation are solely due to qualifications limiting the consciousness. So the attributes, the apparent attributes of every chitta, individual mind, is going to be limiting consciousness, which by nature is limitless. But because we brought in a reflection of consciousness as the mind, chitta, and this is inevitably limited by its very qualities and properties. Now, these qualifications, such as my body, is a limitation, and the most clear and obvious limitation of my body, the body, is time. Time is the destroyer of everything that is apparently created. Everything that's born must go. So the limiting of age. And those limitations are mental imagery. So the body is an image in consciousness, image in my own mind, and appears to be limited by time. And the creator, Brahma, is going to determine this reflection in my mind and also the apparent time, limiting time of this body phenomenon according to my individual's merit. So what it means, I mean, we need to make sense of the experience of seeing some creatures dying at the age of 5 months to 5 days, 5 years, and then others living at the use of 15 years, and some at adults, and some of old men. And then it talks about one's karma, past merits, okay? Not necessarily to say that someone who lives a very long life is enjoying good merits, okay? It enjoy longevity, which is a kind of punya, but this punya is absolutely is a kind of materialistic merit, because as we know, a very long life can be as ignorant and wasted, you know. And you remember the parabola of the boy that, oh, you're gonna have a son because you you have done so much pujas, I'm gonna give you a son, but it's going to be very, very bright and brilliant boy, but he's gonna die at the age of 15, or you're gonna have a average ignorant boy that's going to live a very long life. So the parents were wise and said, no, I want a very bright boy. Okay. And then we see how we're going to deal with the time when he turns 15. So a short life, a lot of the times, is short, and an early death not necessarily is a tragedy. In fact, there is no tragedy in samsara because it's all a reflection in the mind. When it's just a dramatic reflection, and sometimes a comic reflection. In some other times, a romantic reflection, like in the case of the devotees of Ishvara. When the creative will force wears away, there is dissolution, and complete undifferentiation comes back. So this creative power, creative force, is Maya Shakti, as we know. And it appears to me that Maya and Ishvara cannot create this universe without the human jivas. This creative force is a mystery beyond our intellectual understanding, but we have already understood and determined that Jivatmas are co-creators because we provide the raw material. Which raw material? Our likes and dislikes, our vasana load. And then from there, we have Maya, Maya Shakti, again and again reshaping the universe on a personal level, even according to the merits of all jivas. But then one day Maya somehow wants to go to sleep, and there is dissolution of everything, but nothing is lost. Complete unmanifestation, undifferentiation results, but everything remains. That's why there is no beginning of creation. Creation is a cyclical phenomenon, as we know, from causal, the potential, to the subtle, to the dense manifest universe. As for your willpower, it is overpowered by the Creator's power. When that impediment, what is this impediment? Maya's veiling, Maya's ignorance, veiling power, tamoguna. As for your willpower, so you want to have willpower because you are jealous of me, he's telling, the son of the king. You like to have the power to create your own universe. As far as your willpower, it has been overpowered by the Creator's power. When that impediment, Maya's veiling, tamoguna, is surmounted by the methods already mentioned, the spiritual sadhanas, you're going to develop so much willpower, so much sattva guna. And this willpower will become effective, and then maybe you're going to be able to create a small little universe in your backyard. Time, space, growth, and dense creations, etc., appear in it according to the imaginary of its agents. So again, time, space, and the entire world appears personally to each individual according to the imagery of the individual. So it's reflecting the mind, and we somehow see it in a very subjective, personal way, although there are some common agreements, as for a tree is a tree and not a pig, for example. Those are culture assertions, let's say. But then my likes and dislikes, my tendencies are going to determine which way I experience a tree and which way I experience a pig, for example. Now, time, space, and the gross universe appear in it according to one's vasanas, imagery of the agent. A certain period is only one day according to my calculation in my world, the world created by me, the yog, the sage, the son of the big sage. He said, a certain period is one day in my universe, in my creation, whereas it's 12,000 according to Brahma's creation. We have a parallel here to be also observed, that when we dream, the sense of time is different from when we awake. When we are awake, we interact with Brahma's reflection, or Maya's reflection, the physical material universe. Okay, it's dense. And then we have a sense of time which is different from the experience of the dream world. Okay, so in his universe, one day there is equivalent to 12,000 years out here. The space covered by about 2.5 miles of Brahma, this universe that you see out there. So you look at this space, 2.5 miles is infinite space according to my universe. In this way, both structures are true. Time and space is relative. So in this way, both words and both sense of time are true and untrue at the same time. Similarly, also imagine a hill within yourself or in your backyard, as I was mentioning. And also imagine time in a very subtle sense. Then contemplate an entire creation, a beautiful world, let's say, a just and fair world. Contemplate. If you cannot have it in Brahma's reflection, have it in your own mind. Contemplate a beautiful, fair, just, and wise world with only dharmic, wise people. Contemplate a whole creation in your backyard. Then they will endure as long as your concentration endures. And here, this takes us in a field of esoteric sadhanas and so on, that a lot of people take advantage of this out there, like how to manifest reality, think and go rich, and think the world, and so the world will be. So the limitations inherent to the human mind is so great. Our willpower is weak. It's not strong enough. It's fragmented. It changes again and again our desires. We don't have one-pointedness and concentration and so on. And then you see these schools here and there take advantage and say, okay, now I'm going to teach you how to manifest reality, But who knows how long it may take to develop this kind of willpower and concentration. It seems to be possible. Scriptures pointed to it here and there. Papaji told us a few stories. So, and it's not self-knowledge. It does not, it does not mean like you are free and you enjoy your true nature as Satchitananda, but it means that you have such a mind that you can create a world that can provide you with enjoyment all the time. So as long as your willpower endures, and your endure. So as long as your power endures, so you're gonna have it, and then you're gonna enjoy, you're gonna enjoy, you're gonna enjoy. You want to be the king of your world, having total control. King is a symbol of total power, total control. The king, in principle, is someone who can have things exactly its way, you know. And when the son of the sage came to know that his father was a king, but walked away from all of that, king is the one who can enjoy anything. It's almost like perfectly happy, but it's not, as we know. And some wise kings walk away from their kingdoms to get moksha and self-knowledge through yoga and other means. So this boy wants to have the experience, and this guy now is fascinated with that, the son of the current king there. But it does not lead necessarily to self-knowledge, but somehow can provide you with a lot of punya. If we had the possibility to stay in the dream world, and if we would have the power to produce only celestial dreams, who would like to come out of that experience, you know? So you say, wow, I mean, this is paradise, this is the heaven. So I'm dreaming. Somehow I manage now to have this reflection in my mind, at least in the dream state. And no, I just want to leave this, and then deep sleep, and then back to celestial dreams, deep sleep, celestial dream. So this yogic power is like projecting this ideal universe, which is like a dream, understand? But it's a good dream. It's not a nightmare. It's a good dream, celestial dreams, beautiful dreams. Now, you need to have certain willpower that for us Vedantins is not something to desire for, to wish for. Therefore, I say that this world is a mere figment of human mind's imagination, reflection. Okay. This world shines in the manifest conscious self within. Therefore, what looks like an external world is really an image on the screen of your mind, which is nothing but consciousness. It's not out there. It looks like it is external to the mind, but it's not. Consciousness is thus the fundamental screen and the image at the same time. You would say, like, consciousness is the mirror, the fundamental reflecting medium, screen. But it's also the image, because the images are happening within consciousness. The mirror, like the same way the image in the mirror are not apart from the mirror. The only difference is that consciousness does not need objects to reflect. It's self-contained. It reflects through the power of mind, Maya. Therefore, what looks like external world is just image on the screen of the mind. Just consciousness is the screen and the image as well. And so yogis are enabled to see long distance in space and realize long intervals of time. So therefore, everything is happening in the screen. Consciousness is the fundamental of the screen. And the yogis know that. And they know that they can, they can project or reflect another structure of reality in which distance, the space and time is different. Okay, therefore, don't be surprised that one day at my universe correspond to 12,000 at yours, Brahma's projection, reflection. the yogs can traverse all distance in a moment and can perceive everything as readily as a gooseberry in the hollow of one's palm. I was going to look that in Portuguese, in the Portuguese version, and I forgot it. You know how to translate it? So the yogs can move in time in a different way and perceive everything as readily as a gooseberry.
A gooseberry is a small fruit. So basically, they can see everything very clearly.
Okay. They can see a universe as a gooseberry in your palm. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. So space takes a different dimension, time and space. Therefore, recognize the fact that the world is simply an image on the mirror of consciousness and cultivate the contemplation of I am. Abide as pure being, pure consciousness. I am this pure Satchit. Because the whole world is contained in you. Because everything is happening in consciousness. You are that consciousness. So what is the difference? Now it came a thought in my mind, an insight in my mind. So a yogi is someone who understands the power of the mind and says, so I can have a world of my own reflected in my own mind or projected by my own mind. Okay, for as long as I have this power that developed and maintained. You know? And then we have the situation of the yoni. The yoni understands that the world is a reflection in the mind, but it's all done by Maya, by Ishwara. Yeah? And the yoga wants to say, okay, it's a reflection in my mind, but I want to work on my mind so that I have the reflection that I like, not any reflection, because Ishwara produce all reflections according to the collective Rabada Karma. I want to experience a beautiful world of my own. So the yogi wants to cultivate certain qualities, yeah, to have a reflection which is a beautiful dream, a dream of his own. And here it says like, understand that the world is not only an image reflect on your mind, but your mind is not apart from consciousness. Understand that the world as you see it is an image occurring consciousness, and you are that consciousness. Cultivate the contemplation that I am and abide in this consciousness, and give up the delusion that this world apparent out there is real. Okay, the only reality is consciousness. So the difference here is like is suggesting the disciple to abide in consciousness, not to abide in the yogic mind, which has the power to produce any beautiful universe, private universe. You understand? So the yoga wants to abide in the mind, a mind with a certain seed power. Yeah? And the Vedanta team wants to abide in consciousness as consciousness and does not care about whatsoever reflection my Ishwara is going to produce in its own subtle body. Leave it to Ishwara. Don't try to create your own universe.
Yeah, it's almost like the yogi is still believing in duality because he doesn't want to live in this world. He wants to make it perfect for his own desire. Whereas the Vedanta just accepts that it's all not real anyway.
Yeah. What do you say? The yoga believes in what?
It's almost inferring in this statement that the yogi still is living within duality. Believing in duality.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Is the Vasana for experience. My class yesterday in Portuguese language came up the subject, and we went in a very profound teaching in regards to the fact that what we are is not an experiencing entity. Consciousness is not an experiencing entity. Okay, so but we are Purna, we are the only reality, but we are not in duality. We cannot experience unless we are incarnate in a body mind that experience duality. But what makes me, what gives me the possibility of freedom is to understand that in truth, in my true nature, in a sense, I'm not an experienced entity. So as long as we are still attached to the notion that I want self-knowledge, but I want to remain as an experienced entity, and then we are trying something impossible, because we are sending the message to the field of Ishvara to say, no, I want to stay in duality, okay? So I want duality, I want more experience, and therefore I don't want to claim my true nature as non-experiencing agent. I want to remain as an agent. And the yoga, as you pointed out, wants to experience duality, but on his own term. On his own term. Give up the delusion of reality of this world. Then you will become like myself, a yogi with all these powers. But this yogi is a unique yogi. It's a self-realized yogi, which is possible. You can find yogis who are yani. We find samadhi yogis who are yogis as well. And you can find even yogis with this kind of power, which is a yani. Okay, so now I learned to do this, and I enjoy a perfect world. So whenever I don't have to fulfill my duties here in Brahman's reflection, I go to my own reflection because it's much nicer there. Or I just go for a period of time of 1,000 years in deep sleep, my Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Okay, so one may even feel like, this is the ultimate condition. You understand? So I can enjoy this world, accepting the world as it is because it belongs to Ishvara. All the pleasure and pain remains here, but I can withdraw from it and experience duality in a dreamlike reality created by my willpower, my seed powers. And when I'm tired of both Ishvara's reflections and my own reflection, I just go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi for 100 years. It sounds very good, I'm not Mark. It's not a bad cocktail.
No, that sounds pretty good to me. I'll go for that.
Then you become like myself, one in being, self-sufficient. And now he's pointing out to his self-knowledge. You become like myself. I am non-dual, sat, being, existence, and I'm self-sufficient. Dattatreya continued. On hearing this discourse of the sage son, the king overcame his delusion. His intellect became purified, and he understood the ultimate goal. So the ultimate goal is self-knowledge, as is clearly being stated here. Then he practiced samadhi and became self-contained without depending on any external agency, and led a long and happy life. So this samadhi, I interpret it as nididhyasana, okay? Because he became self-contained, he understood his own self-contained nature as pure, limitless consciousness. And then he became free and independent, free without depending on any external circumstance or agency. And he led a long and happy life in spite of the world around him. And he lived due to this sadhanas, yeah, and the understanding that fructify through the contemplation on these teachings, he ceased to identify himself, limitless consciousness, with the limited body, and became, quote unquote, absolute as transcendental space until he was finally liberated. Beautiful, liberated by exhausting its karma and then receiving the status of the Dehamukta, liberated once karma, once Prarabdha has exhausted. He became absolute. He acknowledged his nature as absolute transcendental space. Space here goes for Satchitananda. And this knowledge conduced him to finally moksha. So you see, Bhagava, the universe is only a mental image, just as firm as one's willpower and no more. So you see, there is another parallel we can look in here. You know, people who have a disturbed mind, a very dispersed mind, a mind without focus, a mind which is distracted all the time by thoughts and images. So the universe is a reflection in this mind. Just as firm as one's willpower, and no more. So what is the condition of someone with a totally distracted mind, reflecting reality with difference again and again? So the world being reflected is not stable, is not firm. And we see people who are not mentally stable, they experience this constant change in the reflection or in the mind that is devastating emotionally, psychologically. The universe is only a mental image, and it's going to be as firm as the quality of one's mind. A disturbed mind is going to be reflecting a changing world, which is going to be very uncomfortable. It's not independent of the self. The universe is not different or apart from consciousness. Investigate the matter yourself, and your delusion will gradually lose hold of you and pass off. Everything is consciousness. Everything is a reflection within consciousness, and I am that consciousness. And the world is just like a projection, a dream, a reflection, including the physical material world. I have the power to attach myself to these reflections, and then I will suffer the illness called samsara. Investigate the nature of the world. What we are doing here, we investigate the nature of this world. So we may investigate the nature of God. We may investigate the nature of the I. Now we investigate the nature of the world. Investigate the nature of the world and overcome your delusion. And this ignorance will lose hold of you in due time, gradually. Everything is just a reflection in you, the self. So we move into the chapter 15 on what need be known and need not be known on the nature of the self. Now we're going to look to the nature of the self. On hearing Dattatreya relate the wonderful story of the city in the hill, Parasurama marveled more and more into those teachings. With a clear mind, he pondered over the teachings of his teacher, his guru, his master, and then returned to the guru after some time and asked him again, Lord, I consider the purport. Purport means the claims of your teachings. I consider the claims that the universe is just a reflection in my mind, and it's no different from the reflection occurring in my dream state, no different from reflection occurring in your yogic, steady powered mind. I consider all of this in the shape of the magnificent stories you told me. I understand that intelligence alone, this conscious, supreme intelligence, is the only reality and single, one without a second, and that objects are only unreal, apparent images like a city reflecting a huge mirror. Her transcendental majesty, the Maheshwari, is that consciousness manifesting as intelligence, cognizant of the whole range of phenomena, beginning from the unmanifest state of deep sleep and ending with the physical material world, passing in quickly succession within itself. All these are apparently due to the self-sufficiency of that consciousness, and they come into being without any cause. This much I have understood after deep manana, contemplation, consideration. But this intelligence is said to be beyond cognition because it always remains as pure knowledge itself. And there we go into beautiful teachings. We're going to leave it for coming Thursday. Lynn is going to be with us. And hopefully, Philippe. I'm going to send a message to Lynn to watch this video so that we can be on the same page next week. Thank you guys for showing up. We meet again coming Thursday.
Thank you, Arlindo. It's been a beautiful satsang, very deep and profound.
Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah, enjoy it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. We meet again coming Thursday. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.